I think we all owe Batfleck an apology, or more rather, Ben Affleck an apology, because he really turned a meme into a franchise. Now, I get it; it might be a little bit too early to really call The Accountant a franchise because we only got literally 2 movies, but The Accountant 2 is like the second best movie I've seen all year, only coming second to Sinners, which is just like a different, I don't want to call it echelon of a movie, but I'm saying like it just hits different in a lot more ways, whereas this one is like, you know, your not everyday action movie, but it's in that realm, and it's just like a really good movie. So I'm finna rant for a little bit, so if you enjoy those types of videos, here we go. Yo, my name is AJ, and if you love thinking deeper about movies, TV, and anime, you're in the right place. Okay, first things first, man. I just want to establish that both The Accountant 1 and 2 are great movies, bro. I recently watched the first one just because I saw the trailer for the second one in theater. So I watched the first one at the crib and went to go see the second one the other day. And I almost didn't go see it after watching Sinners because I was like, bro, I gotta go watch Sinners again. If I'm gonna go see a movie, I need to go watch that. But after watching The Accountant 1, I was sold. I was like, oh no, this has to be seen this week, because like the way that in every scenario, in every sequence, all I saw was what could have been with Batfleck, bro. Batman, Ben Affleck, DC, freaking just a standalone movie, bro, by itself. I was like, man, we were robbed of something that could have been great. I get it. You know, Batman had his moments in all of these different movies, whether it's like the Justice League, the Snyder Cut, Batman vs Superman, even in, you know, the Flash movie. But it's like, to get your own standalone movie as Batman, that was a thing, that was the key driver that I feel like was missing from, you know, the DC universe as it had stood. Now, what James Gunn does for the future, I'm not really sure how it's gonna go, but I'm still excited to see it nonetheless. I just was like, man, I can't believe that we never got a Ben Affleck Batman movie by itself. Now, obviously, you know, Christian Wolf as the Accountant is completely different than Bruce Wayne as Batman. Like, they're not one-to-one, but they have similar qualities in the sense of, you know, they both got bread, you know, they both got family trauma, and they both have, you know, a certain like way about them. Not the same one-to-one mannerisms, because obviously Christian Wolf has like high functioning autism, but like really it's like mega high functioning autism to where he can, you know, do all the things that he does. But I think for me, when, especially in the first movie, like, because it was like everything was so, you know, short and to the point, it wasn't more so about solving the mystery of who the accountant is and solving the puzzle than about like how, you know, Christian Wolf works as a person. You know what I'm saying? It was very narrative driven in the first movie versus like it being like real time in The Accountant 2, where we find not only Christian but his brother Braxton, who is like, you know, not the complete opposite maybe in personality, but more so because they're brothers, and, you know, everything that Christian was experiencing, Braxton was right there with them. They have a shared family trauma that, you know, Braxton handled in his own separate way, that was very interesting to see like coexist with how, you know, Christian really grew up, because it's like, it's never something that Christian really verbalizes. It's more so something that the other characters like Medina and King would reference to really trying to, you know, not only track him, but get him to help them in their different situations. And yo, if you made it this far in the video, you clearly enjoy thinking deeper about movies, TV, and anime, comment Batfleck so I know you're a true superstar. Oh yeah, quick question. Are you a dog or a cat person? Let me know in the comment section below. I think I'm more of a dog person. I don't got no pets yet, but when it comes down to it, I think I'm gonna give me a little golden doodle. But let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Let's get back to the video. I'm not going to get too deep into what the situation in The Accountant is, just because I think, or The Accountant 2 is, just because I think y'all should go see it. But I think what the movie really helps establish is the fact that, you know, communication and tone are very important. They spend a lot of time, you know, establishing how these characters communicate and kind of what's normal and what's not, because, you know, let's just start with Christian, right? With The Accountant specifically. When he speaks to somebody, he is just saying what he has to say. He's like no mince for words. And, you know, like from his perspective, it's more so a sense of like what's understood doesn't need to be said. Versus like with Braxton, it's more so like how you talk to me and how I think you're responding. Like I'm going to respond based on the answers that you give me, but in the manner that you give it to me, because he kind of takes a lot of things personal. And then like we have Medina, who is like the normal one, even though she a fed, like she the normal one as far as like her reference, her worldview is more aligned with like us as the audience. So it's just a crazy dynamic and a funny dynamic to see. I don't want to say polar opposites, but like people all on different levels of communication interact with each other and the world, and us just being able to see like being a fly on the wall for, you know, all these crazy scenarios. Because the character specifically of Christian Wolf, I say he's kind of like Batman because he has a whole bunch of like, you know, I don't want to say gadgets, but he got a whole bunch of weapons, right? He got a person behind the computer, he got his Alfred, you know, he has his own X-Men, if you will. like there's so many things about his character that just make sense because of all the work that they did to establish his character and what he's about in the first movie, so that in the second movie, in The Accountant 2, we can just go and like really take things to the next level and rise above like anything that you had expectations to see in this joint. And on top of that, we're going to add his brother, who is like a minor character in the sense of the like the adult version of him in telling the story as like not necessarily just a comedic relief, but also helping us explore the different facets of, you know, what makes Christian Wolf a real person, right? Because they do a lot of things that like normal people would do, like such as like, you know, speed dating, right? They have a whole speed dating segment that, you know, it's like early intro into the movie. And you know, obviously this man Christian Wolf, this man Ben Affleck, is like, you know, handsome, right? And you would think that like, you know, in a sense, he would not have trouble finding relationships and stuff like that. But because of his quote unquote condition, he has a hard time building those types of things and them lasting long term. It sucks that, you know, in the first movie they have a whole like love interest, quote unquote, type of situation, but we never really get to see that in this movie specifically with those same characters. But they do a good job of taking a normal situation and then like adding their own spin to it, to where it just turns into a whole fiasco where, you know, Christian basically gamifies the system, where I think they knew who they were meeting with, and instead of it being like everybody's trying to sit down with Bruce Wayne because it's Bruce Wayne, billionaire playboy type situation, it's like, no, like they want to sit with the accountant because yes, he's handsome or whatever, but he also gamified the system to where it made sure that almost any and every single person that was at the event was a match for him. And then we get the conversation and then it's like completely left. Like, it's so funny to see all of the different interactions that he has, not only with just with women, but just like in regular conversation, because obviously this is also an action movie, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like the action took a backseat to the characters, which is like a really good sweet spot if you want to really establish like something that could last longer, you know, which is also like a whole different thing where I feel like the state of action movies at this point is more so in the sense, I think, of like who's who of, you know, the action field, whether it's like Jason Statham or now Ben Affleck, Tom Cruise. Like you have your specific Michael B. Jordan, you have your specific people that you resonate with, that you like will always go to see what they're in, which is like normal in like, you know, movies in general. But I think for the action genre specifically, it hits home because it's like, okay, do I need to really go spend like not money necessarily, but my time to go watch this in theaters when, you know, I can watch this at the crib. This is like a better you know, environment to go watch something like this, you know, just because it's like I'm comfortable, I can just turn it on and do whatever. So I think, you know, that's what really separates The Accountant from most action movie franchises, is because it's not action focused, it's character focused. And I think they could continue to do that, like, I don't want to say forever, because it's like, you know, maybe it lasts for a longer time than normal. But like I could see, like we're at 2 right now, I could see a 5-piece, you know what I'm saying, where it's like The Accountant 5 and now maybe he has a family and stuff like that. Like who knows where they could really go in the future. But I just think like this was like the perfect project for Ben Affleck to show that, like, yo, this is what y'all could have got if y'all put me as Batman. Because it just showed me like, yo, this man Ben Affleck really has range, you know, because I just felt like he never really got the shine that, you know, he deserved when he was in DC. Now, I guess, you know, we could take a look at like, you know, what the movie is like directly addressing in the sense of like the narrative. But I feel like, you know, you're better off going to watch it for yourself, because yes, like the first movie is about the mystery, it's about solving the puzzle and basically Medina proving her worth. But this second movie is more so about, you know, now that we have all that established, let's use our skills to, you know, directly solve this specific problem. And like the twist and turn in the movie just made it like that much better, bro. Like by the end of it, I was like, yo, not only is the chemistry unmatched, the movie is hilarious, but also the story beats work, bro. They work. And I think that, you know, even though like some of these characters are, you know, a little bit better than others, as far as like, it's really just 3 people that we have to worry about in this movie that, you know, take up most of the screen time. But the other people that are involved in the movie, I could see having just as big of a role in the future, because it's not like they don't got like big names in this joint or notable faces, you know. So that's why I feel like this movie could be an even bigger universe than, you know, what we know it to be right now, which is like Brother Bear type of vibes, you know what I'm saying? Like this is a movie about brothers. And I don't know, man, I just really enjoyed watching it, and I feel like it deserves more like appeal. Not to say that it's not getting it. I think it's like a tough, you know, release date to come out right after Sinners, but you know, I feel like they do what they need to do. Like I feel like Ben Affleck really made his point, if he was trying to do that in the first place. This is like headcanon at this point, because I'm really new to the franchise, like new to The Accountant. Like I literally just watched both movies within like a couple days, so it's really like, you know, fresh on my mind. But if you want to hear a more in-depth conversation about movies, TV, and anime, definitely check out the podcast here on YouTube at The Wine Geek Show or your favorite podcast app, and let us know what you thought of The Accountant. Back to the video. I just don't like to see wasted potential, you know what I'm saying? And that was like another piece in the movie to where it's like, yo, we really getting to see a person maximize their ability and get to see both sides of it. you know, where you maximize your ability to for good and possibly for evil, you know. Now that's all I say on that. But you know, I think for me the main thing I took away from this movie was that like tone really matters, and it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Because like if you really like take a step back and look at what this movie was really about, it was really about communication. You know what I'm saying? How we speak to people and how we respond. And I think, you know, the bond that Christian and Braxton have as brothers, as people that, you know, had the same background, as people that, you know, we got to see like how each scenario affected both characters, where it's like with Braxton, it was more so things happening, not to him, but he would take the blame for a lot of things that weren't really in his control. He was just doing what he was, you know, brought up to do, doing what he was taught to do, which is have his brother's back, you know. And you could see how that molded and shaped him into an adult, where it's like the best thing he could have done, you know, in a given scenario is beat up some guys that had it coming. You know what I'm saying? Like that's one of the lines that he said specifically, where I was like, yo, this is really crazy to witness, because you'll have moments like that where it's, you know, very, very like, not just violent, because they didn't really show it, but like just high energy, you know what I'm saying? And then you'll have a moment where it's just, you know, Christian and Braxton talking, and Braxton telling Christian how he really feels about, you know, Christian never really reaching out to him at the end, after the end of, you know, the Accountant 1, where it says I'll call you when I need, when it's time, you know. And you know, Braxton was thinking like, oh, he's gonna, you know, he's gonna find me whenever, like it's gonna be next week or a month from now, and it ended up being like 8 years.
Do you not miss me because of me, or is it your condition? I'm just me.
And then when you call me, now you need something from me, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a crazy dynamic to really try to communicate when somebody is more coming from a place of like, you know, my brain doesn't really work in the same way as to be like, yo, like I love you, I missed you, and communicate those feelings. It's more so like what's understood don't necessarily need to be said. Through my actions, you should know how I feel about you in this moment. But like, because Braxton never had anybody there to essentially help him through his trauma as he was growing up, it was more so all about Christian from, you know, kind of direction that we saw. It was more so like, okay, if things don't go the way I want them to go, it's my fault. I'm the reason. You know, you don't miss me because of me, not because like that's just not how your brain works. And because, you know, you don't communicate those things, his brain is more so like, you know what, I'm finna just start blaming myself. And that becomes a slippery slope. But it created a very rewarding dynamic when, you know, the movie progressed and we got to see them spend more time together, and you could see that bond just starting to grow and grow and grow and grow. And I just think they did a good job with, like, you know, completing and having a sufficient ending conclusion to each story beat. Not every story beat had a happily ever after, but this movie is full of memorable moments, and you know, it was sufficient to concluding the second movie. But I do think there's gonna be more. You know, nobody, no crime type of situation. I want to see what ended up happening. But I think, you know, this movie is not only hilarious, it has memorable moments, and, you know, has enough action to keep you locked in. You know what I'm saying? Like, action for me came second. Like, this was like introspective comedy action movie. Like, The Accountant 2 and The Accountant 1, which is great, bro. And I think my favorite scene in the movie was the get down, boogie down, scene when they was line dancing. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say, bro. You gotta watch the movie, man. You gotta watch the movie, because I don't know why I waited so long to watch the first one. You know what I'm saying? I think it has something just to do with what I was talking about earlier, where it's like the state of action movies, where it's like, man, don't really want to spend the time to go see this, or I just wait for this to be streaming. I wonder how y'all feel about that. Let me know in the comment sections below, because I could probably make a whole nother video about that. But all in all, I think this was like a 10 out of 10 must see movie, and I really enjoyed it. You know, let me know what y'all think in the comment section below, and hopefully y'all understand now where I'm coming from, as far as like why I think that, you know, Batfleck walked so the accountant could run. But that's all I got for the accountant 1 and 2. If you enjoyed this rant video, here's another video that we think you will like. But before you go, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss another one of my weekly videos, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.